Hello everyone, this is test advice, and this is essentially the kinds of advice that I would usually give students face to face right before you take the exam. First thing, take a couple of deep breaths, inhale more quickly, and then exhale more slowly. Relax, you are now at the test, and you're simply going to do your best. Try to relax. Take a couple of deep breaths before you begin and relax. A few more details. So how does the question apply to what we've learned? Sometimes and these are a minority of questions, but some of the questions are asking you to apply what you have learned. They are not asking you to simply regurgitate a simple fact. To be sure, some of this test, I would say much of this test, typical of every single biology course that is at the 101 level that I've taught, typical. Much of it is knowledge, that first component of learning that I mentioned in the how to review PPT. Um, Much of it is simply remembering. Do you remember that plant cells have central vacuoles and animal cells do not? That is a memory thing. Next, what if it isn't a memory thing? It might be something more like asking you to apply the fact that plants have central vacuoles and animal cells do not have central vacuoles. So what would an application question like that look like? Uh, it, um, I might suggest, and this I'm making it up more or less off the top of my head, why is it that a plant cell has a central vacuole and animal cells don't? Well, you could answer that in many ways, but I would be looking for something that is a reasonable explanation. For example, the function of a central vacuole is in part to provide support to the plant cell because the central vacuole will expand when it is full of water, which presses on the cell membrane and cell wall, which provides turgor pressure, causing the plant to remain upright. Animal cells, firstly, if it's an animal, well, we have bones. If it is, well, most animals and insects have an exoskeleton, so they have other means of support. They don't need a central vacuole. Could also be something like animals excrete their waste, so they do not store waste in their central vacuole. Could also be something such as animals have fat tissue. We have fat, so when we're going to store excess energy, we store it in fat cells that are just specially designed for storing fat. Whereas a plant cell, they don't, you don't really see fat plants. They just simply store the waste in their central vacuole. But most of the time, most of these questions are simply, do you remember the stuff? Another thing about the book, you can use the book, and I've heard discussions among faculty with online instruction about not allowing students to use the book on a test, and my immediate thought is that that almost sounds like it's punishing students who are honest and just are going to be, control themselves and not use the book, whereas then a student who decides, I'm going to use the book, you can't stop me, it's essentially rewarding dishonesty. So feel free and feel good to use the book, and the same thing goes for the internet. You can use it, and I wouldn't want to try to stop you because again, it would be essentially punishing honest students. So you can use those things. The problem that some students can run into is that they can the knowledge that you can use the book, use the internet, is kind of comforting in that you say I ask you how many carbons are there in glucose, and you think, oh, I'm gonna have my Google window open, I'm gonna be ready to write in these questions and figure it out. Well, the thing is, this test is not written with the assumption that you can go into it knowing nothing and then just find all the answers in the book or on the internet. So that's how the time limit is how um, we require you to know things about this content. A little bit more about time. I think I'm getting ahead of myself, am I? A little bit. About time, I am being way generous on the amount of time I am allowing you for this test. In-person classes, 80 minutes. And then usually I'm just Mr. Nice Guy, and so I'll even stay after class and give them maybe an extra 10 minutes. If there's a couple of students, usually in a class of maybe 50 students, there might be 4 or 5 who'd like a little more than 80 minutes. This is an online class, and I know that not all of you are equally familiar with navigating computers, navigating software. So I'm giving you quite a lot more time than is normal. So I'm giving you 105 minutes, or 1 hour and 45 minutes. Normally you'd have 1 hour and 20 minutes, so you're getting an extra 25 minutes. And this test is really, really similar to the types of exams given in face-to-face classes. So little more time for you simply because of the online learning environment. It's probably a new thing for at least some of you, maybe all, well, no, not all of you, but some of you. Okay, bullet number 2 here. Spend a little more than 1 minute per question on the multiple choice. I put each multiple choice question as 1.4 points per question, and you're immediately going to think, what? How did you come up with that? Okay, so the test overall is worth 100 points. There are 50 multiple choice questions, so 50 times 1.4 is 70. The remaining 30 points are in the form of essay questions and a couple short answer questions. So just consider that that's about how much time you should spend. I have given you more time than that because it's online, but if this were in person, well, okay, it's not in person. Anyway, I've given you extra time, so you can definitely spend significantly more than 1 minute per multiple choice, but you get into 2 minutes. Remember, I'm only giving you 105 minutes total, and there's 50 multiple choice questions. So you want to get through those 50 multiple choice questions, I would say, in something like an hour or an hour and 10 minutes max. I think some of you will burn through those and finish them in 30 minutes. So I can see how long it takes all the students to finish, and some students don't even use half the time. That's a minority of students, though. Okay, next, bullet 3. Look at the short answer and essay questions at the end of the test first, meaning the short answer and essay questions are located all the way, scroll down to the bottom, and that's where you see those essay questions. It was actually at one school I worked at before. My job was to guide students in test taking strategies. We were a very test oriented school. We took these exams kind of similar to AP, and the students got super stressed out about it. So I've had this talk a lot of times with a bazillion students, and I will say this to you. Most of them report this is beneficial, and also research supports this as well. Look at those really lengthy questions at the end first, and your brain will begin processing them. Your brain will begin subconsciously kind of working on remembering that content. So at the end, there are some essay questions. Let me talk about those first. It says there's 2 essay questions, and that's true. Each one is worth 10 points, so it's a significant number of your percentage of your score, 20%. And each question, though, is I have included 2 questions. So say question number, what question would that be? 50? Question number 54, and the directions are all in the test. They're plain as day. You can't misunderstand them. Question number 54 will say, answer one of the following 2 questions. Only one. So answer one of them, meaning I'm giving you a chance to, I really forgot all the stuff on that one, or I don't remember much, but this one I really know well. So it's kind of an attempt to give you a chance to say, hey, I might not have learned everything perfectly, but I did learn this topic really well. So you get to choose one out of the 2. Then there'll be a second essay question. That second essay question, you also get to choose one of the 2 questions to answer. So again, you'll be able to kind of play to your strengths. Those are at the end of the test, and I suggest that you look at them first. You can even answer them first, but I would just read through them, and then as you go through all the multiple choice questions, those multiple choice questions may help you to kind of remember what those big essay questions are referring to. Okay, so the last bullet here, 3 short answer questions and 2 essay questions. So the 3 short answer questions, there's 2 that are worth 4 points, and then there's 1 question that is just worth 2 points. So you add them all up, and you don't need to do all the math here. It's not your job to understand the test. Your job is to understand the biology, and then the test will work itself out. Okay, so last thing I want to say about the 3 short answer questions and the 2 essay questions. Total, those are worth about 30 points. So again, spending a little bit more than a minute per point that the question is worth. So one of those 10-point essay questions, you want to spend maybe 12, 13 minutes on it. If you can finish the multiple choice quicker, though, then that's going to give you some extra time to write those essay questions. It is true that much of the time some students do have some trouble finishing, and I am increasing the amount of time for this test simply because I think that the online nature of this course, many of you are still familiarizing yourself with Blackboard and how it all works, and I don't want to see students losing points because they're fumbling with the software. And I guess I'm just being nice as well. So if you guys all get A's, I'm going to be in trouble. So that's kind of a darned if you do, darned if you don't. No, I want you guys to do well, but I think my principal or my boss would be like, Mr. McLeod, they all got A's. How is that possible? That never happened. Anyway, this is, I think, a good balance between being generous but also holding you accountable for knowing the information. Okay, so feel free to send me an email if you have any more specific questions about the test, but it is a pretty standard test. Study hard. There's no secret to learning. Put in the time, and the grades will eventually get there. Good luck.